All right, guys. So today is the 7th. So we talked about the Palace of Versailles already, okay, and how beautiful it was. So hopefully you guys have a chance to maybe take that virtual tour of the palace. I put that link for Google Maps on there. And well, you could have went to the lab, yeah, or on your phone. Anyway, bye guys. Bye. What hardships do you think many of France's people encountered under Louis XIV? So think about maybe some of the resources, materials to build a palace. Obviously, it wasn't going to the deep. So you might have to do a little bit of research how what these people faced during this time of the Palace of Versailles and Louis XIV. There you go. There you go. Anybody check out the virtual tour? No? I almost did you, Paul? It's VR. VR. Would you put it on? Feel us on.
Oh yeah,
Is that what you did?
Yeah. We had fun with the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right, guys. Let's get working. All right, so the Palace of Versailles, Louis the 14th. What do we know about them already? So quick review before we move on. Yeah, I know we had that long weekend here, so it's not bad to review some of this information here. So what do we know? What do we know? Louis the 14th, Palace of Versailles. Chris, is that a hand?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it costed like in today's standards about like 200 to $300 billion.
Good.
And it was the most elaborate and expansive palace ever made.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So we talked about Louis and how he wanted to really show his power through this palace. And he stole a lot of artists from Italy, where we know the Renaissance originated from. It was created there. And it was one of those things where he wanted to try to build his palace's presence of his monarchy, of his power, okay, and obviously the wealth of France. So with this palace, we kind of just took a virtual tour of it Friday, especially with the hallway of mirrors, and how really expensive this was. It was ridiculous, right? Now, when you kind of add up all the square footage, it's about 12 football fields in square footage of the internal portion of the Palace of Versailles. It's ridiculous. And I didn't even get to mention about some of the gardens, some of the architecture outside of the palace. So hopefully you guys checked out that video lesson where I attached a video detailing about the gardens of Versailles. So overall, this was really expensive, and it came to a point where it was overdone, really. And all the artwork within the palace, when you look at the ceilings, there's many different types of paintings that resemble what we know of the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, I know within the hallway of mirrors, I know it showed that. Especially with mirrors at the time, it was really hard to get your hands on. It was a work of art that was really difficult to try to create. And for Louis, he actually stole many of these artisans from Italy to create this hallway of mirrors, which there are close to 400 mirrors within that room, with only that room. Yeah, a lot of the detail within the hallway of mirrors and even his room, and many other rooms throughout the palace, it was embroidered and plated with gold, literally gold. So again, when it comes to the wealth of Louis the 14th of France, he was just trying to show his power. What about his nobility? What would he do with his nobility? What would he do? Connor, go ahead.
He would make them stay in his palace for at least a week a year and would make them play games and whatnot, pretty much take the line of things happening.
Yeah, good job. So if they lived this life of luxury, right, chances are they'd forget about what was really going on, right? They would maybe even just allow Louis the 14th to just make all the decisions totally for France, which he did, right? So he would constantly play games with them, card games, gambling, go outdoors, hunting, in many cases, to try to keep their mind off of politics, keep their mind on the state of France. So he can make all the decisions really for himself. And also when it comes to dressing, and we'll talk about some of the ridiculous methods of dressing him every day. Today I have an article you'll read through about how Louis would start his day and go through to the end of his day. And it just really shows the lifestyle of a king, especially for Louis the 14th. Okay, as this age of absolutisms starting, we're just talking about it now. Okay, this is something that you think of when you read about stories of kings or watch a show or a movie of how kings' lives are. And Louis embodied all of that. He really did. Chris?
Do you think it would be a good idea for Lego to release a minifigure scale set of the Palace of Versailles?
That would take forever. That would take forever. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. So anyway, with the Palace of Versailles, it was really overdone. And with Louis the 14th, he was showing a lot of his wealth, a lot of his power with this palace, and really how he treated his nobility, the people of higher class, these wealthy individuals in France. Okay. But what do we have here for, let's say, the middle class, lower class? How do they live? How do they live? Connor, go ahead.
If I had to live with an extremely high tax value on just about everything,
Yeah.
And overall lack of resources, they kind of to create houses and build things, and then high difficulty obtaining work farm systems that are handyman pretty much because they're pretty much all working on the house side.
Yeah, they're all working on the palace. Awesome. Yeah, good job. Good job. So to try to create a palace like this, obviously there are high taxes. And with higher taxes come, obviously, a lot less, a lower standard of living for the middle class and the lower class. So these people live very difficult lives, right? And when it came to just putting food on the table, it was really tough. And And for Louis, like Connor was mentioned with the artisans, they're all focused on this palace. It's not like they were out creating many different public works programs or public works infrastructure for the people. It's not like that happened at all. So you had Louis at the top, and then everybody else. Okay, when it comes to food, I mentioned a little bit about this last week. Okay, there was a mini ice age that happened right around this time, and food was really hard to get your hands on. What's that? Yeah, yeah, good, good. So when it comes to food and resources, it was really tough to get your hands on. And this resorted to many of the people in France actually killing horses, eating horses. Imagine that, gross. When it comes to French onion soup, all right, I'm sure you guys like that. I do anyway. But it's real basic. You're just getting your hands on bread that's really hard and kind of spoiled. You're throwing it into broth to try to give them some sort of substance within their stomachs. Okay, and for the most part, these people live very, very poor lives. Ultimately, that happened too because Louis XIV embraced a lot of warfare. He really tried to push a lot of war within Central Europe, moving up into the Netherlands region to try to conquer land. And with wars, obviously that's expensive. So for the people, they lived very tough lives under Louis XIV. Eventually, we know that this is going to lead to what? What do you think it's going to lead to? Paul? Yeah, it's going to lead to revolutions. Good. Because you just can't focus all the power with the crown, right? And if these people are living these difficult lives, why? While Louis XIV lives in the Palace of Versailles, chances are this is only going to spur up revolution and conflict. All right, good. So those are just some of the details. Obviously, when it comes to lack of food and resources and materials, it pushed a lot of these people in France to be critical of Louis XIV. All right, is there any questions on that? All right, so I have an article here for you. I'll publish it here soon. I'd like you guys to read through it. It just talks about his daily life and how some of the nobles would treat him, right? There's a few questions, and I do want you to create a political cartoon kind of detailing Louis XIV's life. So with that, I'll pull this up here. I'll go through it real quick with you guys. Stick figures. Did you ever use Canva before? Canva? No? Canva's really cool. It's a nice tool to use when it comes to creating cartoons especially. So here it is. Here's the assignment. A day in the life of Louis XIV.
That's about it. It's a 100.
So we're going to listen up. What you're going to do is just read through this article here. You don't have to answer questions on a PDF. I know it'd be tough, but it just talks about the life of Louis XIV, how his day would start, continue with his routine, his schedule of his day, and then how it ends. All right. The questions are attached. Just find it here, right here. There's only 3 questions. That's it. And then you'll just have to create a cartoon. All right. So for the cartoon, make sure you have historical accuracy. Okay. I don't want to see anything like a cell phone in his hand. I don't know. Or him playing a PS5, whatever. Or watching the Phillies lose. Oh, man. Darn it.
The Phillies after game 4.
Pretty much. All right. Make sure it's neat, right? Be creative with it. Throw some color in there. If you want to draw it out, take a picture of it and attach it to the assignment, that's fine. Or if you want to try to use Canva, that's okay too. I know Canva, you actually can use, create cartoons with it. So you have a lot of different symbols that you can place within the political cartoon, whatever you want to do. But your cartoon is supposed to resemble Louis's life. That's it. Okay. So obviously you're going to probably have a lot of gold there. Acting like a king in many cases, whatever you do. All right, so there you go. That's what you got for the rest of the period. Oh, look at that. Time's flying by, isn't it? Someone forgot to change the hour back. Oh, darn. How is that extra hour of sleep? Did we like it?
I didn't even notice it.
You didn't notice it?
No, I was like
2 in the morning. Jeez, man. That's why you usually up to 3 in the morning.